All right, so you ready to dive in?
Always.
Awesome. Today we're tackling IELTS,
Yeah.
pulling out some really useful tips and tricks. We found this expert interview,
Oh, cool.
on a podcast called The Language Lab, and they were talking to this IELTS expert, Emily, and she's got tons of experience, prepping people for this beast.
Oh, nice.
So you're probably already pretty familiar with IELTS, the International English Language Testing System.
Yeah.
And how it's like your gateway to opportunities in English-speaking countries, right?
Yeah, for sure. It's a big one.
Yeah. But we're not going to rehash the basics, right? We're
No.
going deeper. We're going deep on strategies that'll make a difference for you.
Yeah, those nitty-gritty details,
You say
stuff that
it's-
really helps.
So let's just start with the listening section,
Okay.
which, it can be tricky, right?
Yeah.
Even for people who are generally good at English.
Right.
Emily had some interesting thoughts on this. She really highlighted the importance of getting used to different accents. Because, let's be real, English sounds pretty different depending on where you are in the world.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Right. And it's a point I think that's often overlooked.
Yeah, I think so too.
Think about it. If you've mainly been exposed to American English, hearing a really thick Scottish brogue
Oh, yeah.
or like a fast-paced Aussie accent, it can throw you off.
Totally.
Right.
It's true.
So what Emily suggests is really immersing yourself
Okay.
in diverse English media.
So, what? What are we talking?
We're talking British sitcoms, documentaries from New Zealand, even podcasts from, different regions of Canada.
Nice.
It's a fun way to train your ear.
Yeah, I like that. Make it enjoyable.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's kind of like learning a musical instrument. The more you expose yourself to different sounds and rhythms, the better you get at recognizing and interpreting them.
Oh, I love that analogy.
Yeah.
But just hearing the accents, it isn't enough, right?
No, probably not.
Emily also talked about active listening, which I have to admit, I am so guilty of not doing enough.
Yeah, me too. It's easy to just kind of zone out.
Totally.
Yeah.
So it's a common pitfall, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people, they just assume listening is passive,
Mm-hmm.
but it's actually a skill that you can cultivate.
Right. You can get better at it.
So Emily recommends practicing these shadowing exercises.
Shadowing.
Yeah.
Oh,
Basically, you listen to a short audio clip,
okay.
and then you try to repeat it verbatim, like mimicking the speaker's pronunciation
Okay.
and even their intonation.
Oh, wow. That sounds intense.
Yeah. But I can see how it would force you to really pay attention to those nuances of the language.
Yeah, for sure. Like every little detail.
Yeah. And it helps you develop the muscle memory.
Oh, interesting.
Right, for producing those sounds yourself, which is a bonus actually for the speaking section as well.
Oh, yeah, good point. Right. That ties together.
It all ties together.
Yeah.
Now, Emily also had this really interesting tip about prediction.
Prediction.
Yeah. She said to use those few moments you get
Okay.
before each listening section
Uh-huh.
to look ahead at the questions and try to anticipate what kind of information you need to be listening for.
Interesting. So it's like you're setting up a mental filter
Exactly.
to just be ready for what's coming.
Yeah. You're priming your brain
Yeah.
to focus on specific keywords
Okay.
and phrases,
Yeah.
which can make a huge difference when you're trying to process information really quickly under pressure.
Yeah. That makes sense. Because when you're in the moment, it's easy to get overwhelmed.
Totally.
So it's not just about passively listening.
Oh.
It's about actively engaging with the audio
Yes.
and trying to anticipate
exactly.
what's next.
That's a whole different level of listening.
Yeah, it is.
Okay. Mind blown.
Right.
Now let's move on to the reading section. Emily pointed out that time management here, it's critical,
Yeah, I bet.
especially because those passages, they can be quite long
Yeah.
and complex.
And it's easy to kind of get lost in them.
Totally.
Yeah.
It's a challenge, right? For a lot of test takers, many people, they get bogged down
Mm-hmm.
trying to understand every single word, which eats up so much time,
Yeah, I can see that happening.
which is where skimming and scanning come in.
Right.
But to be honest, I'm still a bit fuzzy on how to actually do that effectively.
Yeah, it's one of those things that's easier said than done, I think.
Totally. So Emily, she recommends focusing on topic sentences and keywords
Okay.
to quickly grasp the main idea of each paragraph.
Uh-huh.
You don't need to read every single word,
Right.
just enough to get the gist.
Gotcha. So it's like reading a news article, right?
Yeah.
You scan those headlines and the first few sentences of each paragraph to just get the main points.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
And then if you encounter a question that needs more detailed information,
Right.
you can go back and scan
Okay.
for those specific keywords or phrases
Makes sense.
that relate to that question.
Yeah. So it's about being strategic with your time and energy, right?
Yes.
Focusing on the important stuff first.
That's it.
Yeah.
Now, Emily also stressed the importance of understanding the different question types.
Oh, right.
Because, as it turns out, there are a lot.
Yeah, there are.
Right.
Oh.
You've got your multiple choice questions, your true, false, not given questions, your matching headings questions, and more.
Wow. Yeah, it's a lot to keep track of.
And each type, it requires, like, a slightly different approach.
Okay. So it's not enough to just understand the content, like, of the passage itself.
No.
You also need to know how to, like, decode the questions.
Yes. It's like having a secret decoder ring.
I like that.
That unlocks the meaning
Yeah.
of the questions and helps you find those right answers.
That's a good analogy.
Okay, so I'm starting to see a pattern here.
Yeah.
It's all about being strategic, right?
Mm. Yeah.
And thinking critically about the task at hand.
I think so. Like, IELTS, it isn't just about testing your knowledge of English. It's
No.
also about, like, testing your ability to think critically and apply your skills effectively.
Okay, so let's tackle the writing section next.
Okay.
So Emily, she broke down the two tasks for us.
Okay.
For the academic version, you'll be describing a visual, like a graph, a chart,
Mm-hmm.
and then writing an essay. And the general training version, it involves a letter and an essay.
Gotcha. So planning is key here, wouldn't you say?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's so tempting to just jump in
Oh, yeah.
and start writing.
Just go for it.
But Emily really emphasized taking a few minutes to outline
Okay.
your response before putting pen to paper, so to speak.
Yeah, it's like building a house, right? You wouldn't start laying bricks without a blueprint.
Exactly.
A well-structured plan, it just
Yeah.
ensures that your writing has a strong foundation.
Right. So it's about organizing your thoughts
Uh-huh.
and creating a roadmap
Yeah.
for your writing.
And especially in a timed exam setting,
Oh, yeah.
where you need to be so efficient with your time and avoid rambling or going off topic.
So true. So Emily also stressed the importance of using a variety of vocabulary and grammatical structures.
Okay, yeah.
Right.
That makes sense.
In your writing.
Right. It's about, like, showcasing your command of English.
Yes.
And your ability to express yourself effectively.
So it's not just about getting the message across.
No.
It's about doing it with style and precision.
Exactly. Think of it as, like, adding spices to a dish.
Oh, I like that.
Using varied vocabulary and grammar, it just makes your writing more flavorful
Yes.
and engaging for the examiner.
Love it. And Emily also highlighted the importance of practicing under timed conditions.
Yeah.
She said it's not enough to just be able to write well.
Yeah. Yeah.
You also need to be able to do it quickly and effectively under pressure.
Yeah, like, pressure's a whole other beast.
It's like training for a marathon.
Oh, yeah.
You wouldn't just show up on race day without putting in the miles, would you?
No way.
And now for the section that often sends shivers down the spines
Oh, boy.
of even the most confident English speakers.
Here we go.
The speaking section.
Yeah, I can see why people get nervous about this part.
Right. It's one thing to write in English,
Uh-huh.
but speaking, like, face-to-face with an examiner,
Oh, yeah.
it's a whole different ballgame.
It is.
But Emily had some encouraging words about this, too.
Okay, good.
She reminded us that it's not about being perfect.
Yeah.
It's about showcasing your ability to communicate effectively.
Uh-huh.
So the examiner, they're not looking for a flawless performance.
Right.
They're looking for evidence that you can understand and respond to questions. Okay? Express your ideas clearly and engage in a conversation.
So it's about, like, demonstrating your real-world communication skills,
Yes.
not just, like, reciting grammar rules from a textbook.
Exactly. It's about showing that you can use English to connect with others
Uh-huh.
and navigate those real-life situations.
Okay.
All right, so let's break down some of Emily's tips
Okay, yeah.
for tackling this beast of a section.
Sounds good to me. Where do you want to start?
Well, Emily, she really emphasized the importance of practice, which I know it can sound obvious, right?
Yeah.
But she had some really specific ideas
Yeah.
that I thought were pretty clever.
Oh, okay, cool. I'm curious.
So she's a big advocate for what she calls the talk to anyone who will listen approach.
Talk to anyone who will listen. What's that?
Basically, you should be speaking English as much as possible,
Yeah.
in the lead up to the exam.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
So this could mean like chatting with friends or family members who speak English,
Right.
joining online language exchange groups,
Mhm.
or even talking to yourself.
Talking to yourself.
Yes.
Oh, that's a
I know it sounds a little strange, but there's actually a lot of value in it.
Yeah.
Think about it. When you're talking to yourself, there's no pressure
Yeah.
to be perfect,
Yeah.
to impress anyone.
You can just let loose.
You can experiment,
Yeah.
right, with different vocabulary, grammatical structures, try out different accents, and just generally, like, get comfortable with the sound of your own voice in English.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, it's like having your own personal English practice arena
Exactly.
where you can make mistakes.
Yeah,
And experiment freely.
totally.
The night judgment.
Yeah, no judgment. So Emily, she also suggests recording yourself speaking English,
Oh, okay.
which, it can be a little painful at first
Yeah, I can imagine.
to hear yourself,
Yeah.
but it's a really effective way to identify those areas for improvement.
Oh, right.
You can listen back to your recordings,
Yeah.
right, and pinpoint, any pronunciation issues, grammatical errors, or areas where your fluency could be smoother.
So it's like having like a personal language coach
Yes,
who can like give you instant feedback on your performance.
exactly.
And then you can like, focus your practice on those specific areas
Totally.
where you need the most work.
Yeah.
Cool.
Now on to some tips for the actual interview format.
Okay.
Emily had some interesting thoughts on how to approach those 3 parts.
Okay. The introduction, quick Q&A,
Huh?
the longer solo speaking turn,
Yeah.
and then the discussion.
Yes.
Right.
Those 3 parts.
And these 3 parts, they're designed to assess different aspects of your speaking abilities. So it's important to approach each one strategically.
Absolutely. So for the introduction and those general questions, Emily said to just relax.
Right.
Be yourself.
Yeah.
And answer honestly and naturally. This part, it's more about getting a feel for your overall like communication style and fluency.
Right.
Right.
Right. The examiner just wants to see that you can, understand and respond to basic questions
Yeah.
in a clear and concise manner.
But don't just give like one-word answers.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Right.
Expand on them.
Yeah, Emily suggests expanding
Yeah.
on your responses,
Yeah.
providing some context or examples, to really showcase that vocabulary and ability to elaborate on a topic.
Oh, okay.
So, for instance, if the examiner asks you about your hobbies,
Right.
don't just say, I like reading.
Yeah.
Tell them what kind of books you enjoy,
Yes.
why you like reading,
Yeah.
and maybe even mention like a book that you've read recently.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it's about demonstrating that you can go beyond those simple responses
Yeah.
and engage in a more meaningful conversation.
Now for the long term.
You'll be given a topic card and 1 minute to prepare a short speech.
Oh, wow.
This is where a lot of test takers, they start to sweat.
Oh, yeah. I can imagine. You've got to like come up with this coherent and engaging speech
Yeah,
on the spot
on the spot.
with only a minute to prepare.
1 minute.
Yeah, that's nerve-wracking.
It can be daunting.
Yeah.
But Emily has some really helpful strategies
Oh, okay, good.
for this part. She emphasizes the importance of using that 1 minute wisely
Right.
to jot down some key points and organize your thoughts.
Okay, yeah.
Think about what you want to say and how you want to structure your speech.
Right, right. So it's not about like writing out your entire speech
Mhm.
word for word. It's about like creating a roadmap
Yeah.
to guide you.
Exactly. So Emily suggests using a simple structure,
Okay.
like the classic introduction, body, conclusion format.
Oh, yeah. The classic.
The classic.
Keep it simple.
Keep it simple. So start by introducing the topic
Uh-huh.
and stating your main point.
Okay.
Then, provide some supporting details
Right.
or examples, to flesh out your ideas.
Yeah, to give it some substance.
Exactly. And finally, summarize your main points
Okay.
and conclude your speech
Yeah.
with a clear takeaway message.
Oh, okay. That's a really helpful framework.
Right.
It just provides a sense of structure
Yeah.
and ensures that your speech is coherent
Yes.
and easy to follow.
And I imagine that structure, it can also help to calm those pre-speech jitters.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, having a plan in place can definitely like boost your confidence
Right.
and help you help you stay on track, even if you're feeling a little nervous.
Now, for the final part,
Okay.
the discussion, the examiner will they'll ask you more in-depth questions
Okay.
related to your long-term topic.
Gotcha. So this part's designed to like assess your ability to engage in a more like nuanced conversation.
Yes, right.
Explore different perspectives.
Yeah.
And express your opinions like in a thoughtful and articulate manner.
So it's not just about giving the right answer.
No.
It's about like demonstrating that you can think critically and participate in a meaningful discussion.
Exactly. So the examiner, they want to see that you can understand complex ideas, express your own thoughts clearly, and respond to different viewpoints like respectfully.
Right.
So Emily had some good tips for this part too.
Oh, good. I was hoping she would.
She emphasized the importance of active listening.
Okay, yeah.
You know, paying attention to the examiner's questions and responding thoughtfully.
Right.
And don't be afraid to ask for clarification if you need it.
Okay.
Or to take a moment to gather your thoughts before speaking. Oh, yeah. It's about, demonstrating that you're engaged in the conversation.
Yes.
And that you're taking the time to process the information.
Yeah.
And formulate your response.
So we've covered a lot of ground here. We've explored strategies for tackling the listening, the reading, the writing, and the speaking sections.
We have, yeah.
What really stands out to me is that it's not just about knowing, like, English grammar and vocabulary.
Right.
It's about developing this strategic mindset and understanding how to apply your skills effectively.
Yeah, I completely agree. Like the IELTS exam, it's designed to assess your real world communication skills.
Yes.
Not just your knowledge of isolated language rules.
And while that can feel intimidating, it's actually pretty empowering.
Oh, okay.
You know, it means that those skills that you're developing for the IELTS exam are skills you can use.
Yeah, in real life.
In all areas of your life.
Absolutely. Whether you're, interacting with colleagues in an international business setting.
Yeah.
Or presenting your research at an academic conference.
Wow.
Or simply, chatting with new friends from different cultures.
Yeah.
Like the ability to communicate effectively in English, it's a valuable asset.
So even though the IELTS exam can feel like this hurdle to overcome,
yeah,
it's also an opportunity, right?
It is.
To invest in yourself.
Yeah.
And develop skills that will benefit you for years to come.
I couldn't have said it better myself.
It's interesting how Emily really framed the IELTS exam as more of a skill building experience.
Yeah.
Than just a test. It's not just about passing or failing, it's about developing your communication abilities.
Right. Yeah, I think that's a really valuable perspective. It takes some of the pressure off and allows you to, focus on the learning process. After all, even if you don't achieve your desired score on the first try,
right,
the skills you gain will still be, valuable in the long run.
Absolutely. And speaking of those skills, let's circle back.
Okay.
To some of Emily's more specific tips.
Yeah.
Particularly for the speaking section.
Okay.
I know a lot of people they get so hung up on trying to sound like perfectly native like. But Emily actually had some interesting thoughts on that.
Oh, okay. What did she say?
She actually cautioned against focusing too much on trying to eliminate your accent.
Oh, interesting.
Entirely.
Okay.
So while clear pronunciation is super important,
yeah,
she really emphasized that the examiner they're mainly interested in your ability to communicate effectively.
Okay.
Not in whether you sound exactly like someone from London or New York.
Right. That's reassuring.
Right. Because I think sometimes we get so caught up in the idea of speaking perfect English.
Yeah.
That we forget the main goal is to be understood. And to express yourself clearly.
Right. And sometimes trying too hard to mimic a native accent can actually make you sound less natural.
Yes.
And more difficult to understand.
Totally.
So it's better to focus on speaking, clearly, confidently, using correct grammar and vocabulary and letting your personality shine through.
Yeah. Be yourself.
Be yourself, exactly.
So Emily, she also had this advice about using natural expressions
Oh, okay.
To kind of enhance your fluency.
Yeah.
And make your speech sound less robotic.
Okay. Like what kind of expressions?
So she mentioned phrases like that's an interesting question.
Okay.
Or let me think about that for a moment.
Right. Just those little phrases that kind of,
They can make such a difference.
Yeah.
They add this natural rhythm.
Yeah.
To your speech.
Uh-huh.
And they help you sound more like you're having a conversation.
Right, exactly. Not like you're reciting from a script.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like adding punctuation.
Oh, I like it.
To your spoken language. Right?
Yeah.
It helps to kind of break up the flow.
Uh-huh.
And create a more engaging listening experience.
Right. Think about how you speak in your native language.
Yeah.
You naturally use pauses, filler words, transitional phrases to help structure your thoughts and make your speech more fluid. Mm-hmm. And the same principle, it applies to speaking English.
Totally. Mm-hmm. So Emily also had this great point about the importance of expanding on your answers.
Oh, yeah.
Even if you're, feeling nervous.
Right.
Or pressured.
Yeah. It can be tempting to just give a one-word response.
Yeah.
Or a simple yes or no.
Oh.
But that doesn't really give the examiner much to work with.
Right. You want to show them, you want to showcase your ability to express yourself.
Yeah.
In a more nuanced way.
Right.
So even if the question seems like straightforward.
Yeah.
Try to elaborate.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Provide some context, some examples, or explain your reasoning.
Give them the full picture.
Yeah. So, for example, if the examiner asks you about your favorite type of music, instead of just saying, I like pop music, mm-hmm. you could say something like, I enjoy listening to pop music because it's upbeat and catchy. I find it's a great way to relax and unwind after a long day.
Right. Yeah, exactly. That gives the examiner a much better sense of your language skills and your ability to communicate effectively.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into the IELTS exam,
right,
I'm struck by how much more there is to it than meets the eye. Right?
Yeah,
it's not just about memorizing vocabulary and grammar rules.
It's about developing a strategic approach.
Yes.
To each section, honing your critical thinking skills, and ultimately using the exam as a springboard.
Yeah.
For building your overall communication abilities.
That's cool.
I think that's a great takeaway.
It is. The IELTS exam, it can be a challenging but rewarding experience.
Yeah.
And by embracing the process and focusing on the skills you're developing, you can set yourself up for success.
Yeah.
Not only on the exam itself, but also in your future endeavors, whatever they may be.
So to our listener out there, who's embarking on this IELTS journey,
yes,
remember, you're not alone.
You got this.
Embrace the challenge.
Yeah.
Focus on those communication skills.
You'll do great.
And you'll be well on your way to achieving your goals. And who knows, you might even discover a newfound love.
Oh yeah.
For the English language along the way.
Now, wouldn't that be a fantastic outcome? Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.